Hey channel, Fernando from SkyFi Audio. This is the Technics SL-1500C. This is the entry-level turntable from Technics. And today we're going to compare it to its siblings. We're going to look at the features, some cartridge options, and determine whether this might be a good fit for you or not. So hang in there, it's going to be around 15 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this video a little tighter than the last one, so we'll jump right in. So the SL-1500C sits at the entry-level point of their lineup. Above it are the SL-1200GR2, the SL-1200G, and then the super awesome, the SL-1000RES. So this is their entry level, and they've done a really nice job with it. They've omitted some of the features that audiophiles don't really care for. They've managed to get the price to a good level, and it comes ready to rock and roll with a cartridge. The biggest differentiator is really the direct drive motor. There are no belts or pulleys or wheels involved in this. This is essentially an electromagnetic system that spins the platter beautifully and super reliably. It's featured on the SL-1200, which was the original, well, not the original, but maybe the second generation direct drive motor turntable from Technics in 1979. And they've sold a gazillion of these turntables. The slide, which is already pretty old, says it's 3.5 million. I got a feeling it's a lot more than that at this point. And this is a direct descendant of that. It shares the same form and function, almost an identical tone arm, similar technology or a more evolved technology for the direct drive motor, and the same layout as we're used to seeing in the SL-1200. But what they have omitted is really all the DJ features that people don't want for the home. The slider that's present right here is missing, and the strobe on the platter is also missing, as well as the little tiny light that helps you locate the arm, which is a bit of a bummer. I always like that on the SLs. If you're a fan of the channel, you would have maybe seen the video I did about a month ago on their top of the line within this form factor, the SL-1200G. It was a tremendously successful video, and it's a very successful turntable. We can barely keep them in stock. We run out of them almost immediately. I've got one right here, the one I used for the review sample, so I will be able to show you some of the differences between the two. Now, the 1200G is not a good comparison for this particular turntable. This sits in the price range of around $1,300. The 1200G sits at around $4,300, but there is something in between the two, the GR2, so the SL-1200 GR2, and that's really the one we should be comparing this to at this point. It comes in three colors: the black that you see here, the traditional silver Techniques, and also a white, which is actually really, really good looking. The black is not my favorite. It is in fact a dust magnet. It's hard to keep it clean, either from light scuffs or from dust, but I get it. If you got an all black system, the black one's going to be the one that's going to look the best. If you can justify the silver one within the look of your system, I'd go for that. And if you've got sort of a more modern decorative setting in your house, the white one is actually pretty stellar. Now for the ask, we put a lot of effort into these videos, and I would love it if you would give us your support by liking and subscribing to this video. It helps us stay motivated and justifies the time that we take for these videos. And secondly, we sell Techniques. We absolutely love the brand. We're fully on board behind it. So if you'd give us a shot at your business, if you want any of the Techniques models, please give us a chance. Visit us at skyfiaudio.com, where you'll see all these models. We're a small business out of New Jersey. It's just 3 of us, but we'll take amazing care of you. You can call us if you want to discuss cartridge options or upgrades or anything else. And please do give us a chance. So what do you get for the $1,300? Well, you get a turntable that's ready to rock and roll, which is hard to find nowadays, and you get a highly engineered piece of kit. This is not a slab with a tone arm and a platter on it, as many manufacturers have at the $1,300 price range. This is a highly engineered and highly evolved turntable, much like a 911 Porsche I like to think of. You know, they've been evolving the 911 for decades and decades. And same thing for the what we see right here, the descendant to the SL-1200. So at the $1,300 mark, you get a really decent Ortofon red cartridge. This is a moving magnet cartridge. Comes pre-mounted, calibrated, ready to go. You get the same tone arm that you see all the way up to the $4,300 price tag range. You get the tried and true tone arm, probably the highest manufacturing quantities of any tone arm out there. Now, don't fact check me, but I bet you it's pretty close to being that case. And there's not a lot of differences. Yes, the SL-1200G does have a magnesium wand on the tone arm, but really the design, execution, bearings, everything else is almost identical. You get the same direct drive technology that we see in the lineup. This is a single core motor. Here's the magnet structure. You get about a 4-pound platter, which is a bit lighter, about a pound lighter than the one on the GR2, but it's still a beautifully rubber coating here to eliminate the resonant frequencies. You get the ability to do 3 speeds, 33, 45, and if you press them both at the same time, it will go to 77. And you get a built-in phono preamp, which is a really nice option, and the ability to bypass it in case you've got a better preamp built into your existing stereo. So the left side here is the phono out. This is directly from the cartridge, and this output here is the line out, which goes through the built-in phono section. While we're back here, let's look at the switches. We've got the on-off for the phono preamp section, and we also have the auto lift, which I haven't mentioned yet, which is a really neat trick. So the auto lift mechanism essentially lifts the tone arm when it gets to the run out section of your record. So once the record is over, it'll detect after a few RPMs that it has in fact finished, and something will release within the mechanical components and automatically lift the tone arm. Now, it doesn't happen with a motor or a belt or anything like that. It's actually just spring-loaded. I've noticed that the feeling on this lifting mechanism is different from the other SL-1200 turntables. So what you're doing is the first time you use it, you push down a little extra hard and you're loading up some sort of spring system or some energy system that will later lift the arm up when it detects. So super, super clever, and I bet it doesn't get in the way of the sound or the execution of this tone arm. Now, why would you want that? Well, if you're like me, I often work during the day with a record playing in the background, and I'll get distracted and the record will run out, and if I don't pay attention, it's gonna sit there at the end groove wearing itself out. So this is sort of a turntable for an office or some sort of environment where you're working or often get distracted, that auto lift is a really nice feature. Now, who is this turntable for? Well, it's certainly an entry-level turntable, at least in the world of Technics. Now, I realize $1,300 is quite a bit of money. But if you want something that's quality, built and engineered, this is probably one of your best bets. So if you're sort of starting in hi-fi world and you wanted to get a no-nonsense turntable, which is really the best moniker for this, it's really a no-nonsense design, this might be a good fit. Also, if you have a second system, maybe you've got an office or a sitting room where you want to have some vinyl in there, this is also a great turntable for that. And as a gift, we get tons of calls from people, especially around the holidays. Hey, I want to gift somebody a turntable. What do? I don't have hours and hours to research and test things out. Well, this is it. It's not only a great performer, but it's also incredibly robust. I mean, these tables were designed to travel the world with DJs, so you can imagine the engineering that goes into keeping these things from breaking. And I've rarely come across an SL-1200, no matter how beat up it is, they almost all work. There are a bunch of things we're giving up on this entry-level turntable. So first of all, the mass. This is a much lighter turntable than, let's say, the GR above it by a bunch of pounds. So the cabinet construction, even though it's similar, it has a sort of cast aluminum top and a plastic bottom. It has less layers than its bigger brothers, so the mass is a bit lower. So it will rumble or have some feedback earlier or at lower volumes than some of its bigger brothers. You're giving up the slider and the speed control, which is really something that audiophiles don't even care for. A lot of people love the 1200G, but wish it didn't have this speed slider on here. So that's gone, and so is the stroboscope. I kind of miss it. I love the look of the stroboscope and watching the lights flicker on it. So I'm a bit sad it doesn't have that, but I get it. As an audiophile turntable, it really doesn't need it. And then you're missing the little tiny light that pops up right here that illuminates the cartridge when you're dropping it, which I also like a lot. So you're giving up some things, but not a lot. You're getting the same awesome tone arm as the rest of the lineup and all the engineering that's been done over the years. Now let's talk about the cartridge. So this is an Ortofon Red. It's a good entry-level cartridge and perfectly fine to just get up and running. But if you want to take this turntable to the next level, we've had amazing success with the Sumiko Bluepoint No. 3, which comes in both low output and high output. So we'll work with just about every piece of equipment out there. And the results we get from them are stellar. We have this calibration bench where we tune these turntables, and the results that we get with this tone arm with the Sumiko Bluepoint No. 3, it passes torture tests that very few other cartridge tone arm combinations do. So I highly encourage you, if you do have the extra few $100s, on our website you will find a pull-down menu where you can choose to upgrade to the Sumiko Bluepoint No. 3. In terms of setup, I'm not going to go through it right now. I encourage you to visit the other video that I did on the 1200G. The second half of the video has very specific instructions on how to calibrate this turntable using only the tools that come with it. So I'll link to that below so you don't have to go hunting for it. But it's essentially a matter of setting the height of the arm, the tracking force, mounting the cartridge, and setting the anti-skate. And I'll cover that in the video pretty well. Now, in terms of its performance for the platter and the motor, it has very similar performance to the other turntables in the lineup. It's incredibly fast to spool up. It takes probably about a second and a half to get up to 33, and the change to 45 happens almost immediately. So you've got essentially 3 ways you can purchase this turntable from us. You can buy it stock, as you see, with the Ortofon red cartridge. You could buy it upgraded to one of the Sumikos that you can choose from the pull-down menu. Again, I suggest the Blue Point number 3. And you can also supply your own cartridge. If you want to ship us a cartridge, something in your beloved collection that you want us to mount and calibrate for you, we will do that free of charge. And ultimately, one of the reasons why the SL-1200 is such a popular turntable is because of the removable head shell. As you can see here, you can easily unscrew the head shell from the tone arm. And this gives users the option of swapping cartridges pretty easily, as a matter of fact. So let's say you've got, you get a little further down in your HiFi or experience and you want to go to a moving coil cartridge, or you want to try some 78s or mono records. This sort of system allows you to easily interchange cartridges without having to remount everything. So it's almost nearly impossible if you don't have a removable head shell, but Technics makes this really feasible for us. The SL-1500C also provides some really neat upgrade path options for you. So there's a great video someone else did on YouTube, so I'm going to put a link to it below, going pretty deep on the upgrades, but let me highlight some of them. Certainly the feet. This is about as entry level as it gets in the world of Technics. I believe this has a spring in it, not in a dampener or any sort of high-tech material. I'd love to see, after owning the turntable for a year or two, that could be a really nice first upgrade. As mentioned, you can remove the head shells, so you can upgrade not just the cartridge, but also go to some of the more exotic head shells. You could upgrade the cables. It does come with a decent set of cables, but obviously if there are lots of choices out there for both RCAs and power cables. Talk about engineering and precision. Take a look at this platter. It is on right now. It's spinning at 33 RPM, and if you sort of look at the silver line against the black line in here, you can tell how incredibly precise it is as it moves around, how very little run out there is. If you're perceiving some run out, it's probably on the record surface, but if you really focus at the edge of the platter against the plinth, it's really amazing how precise that is at this price range. Here's a different angle showing the precision of the platter. Now, don't pay attention to the records. Records are often have a little warp in them, but do look at the machining on the platter against the surface. Here are the items that ship with the turntable. Other than the manual, got the head shell protector, a power cord, high quality power cord, decent gold-plated RCA jacks, a counterweight, an extra counterweight in case you have a cartridge that's heavier than average. This allows you to balance it properly. A 45 RPM record adapter, and the cover. Now, people ask me all the time about the cover. It's really only to protect the turntable while you're not using it. Really, it should be taken off to be used because it really acts like a sail. So the low frequency vibrations that travel through the air get picked up by the cover and then transfer over to the cartridge. So really, if you do any sort of critical listening or anything above a very low level, cover should be off. So that wraps it up. I appreciate you watching, and please visit us at skyfiaudio.com and give me a ring. My phone number is on the website. My extension is 101. If you want to talk about Techniques, not just this turntable, but if you're having a hard time picking or you're unsure about the cartridge or whether it's a good fit or whether it will work with your phono preamp, give me a ring. I love to chat about this stuff. skyfiaudio.com, and I'm Fernando. Thanks for watching.